And joining us on the line, great to welcome back to Flow, Andy Penkow. G'day, Andy. How you doing today?
Really well, mate. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
It is a pleasure. Great to be chatting to you again. And tell me, firstly, how was the festive break for you? Did you manage to sort of have some downtime and sort of get recharged? How did it go for you?
Yeah, it's been a strange couple of years, because obviously we've been spending a lot of time at home, and I'm in Sydney. So for me, my whole world kind of revolves around being at home. So didn't really feel too much like a festive season, although I got to spend some time with some family and friends, which was the main thing. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, at least you're able to do that, because some, they still can't do it, but having that festive time with family, even if it's for a little bit, it certainly can help. So good on you.
Totally agree. And I did head out west. I was at Coonabarabran for New Year's Eve. I had a show out there, which was fantastic, and up in Queensland as well when the borders opened. So
yeah. Well,
kept me busy.
Well, your song that we talked about before was Before I Go, and we love that track. We've got a new one to talk about now, 1993. So I guess we're having a bit of a nostalgia session with this song?
Yeah, we are. It's so funny because, for me to write this song, it's just a look back on my life, I guess, and growing up in a small country town. And we had this willow tree in our backyard, and I remember as a kid, we'd all used to go and play under this tree and pretending that we were rock stars and whatever else we were doing under there, being rat bags or whatever we were doing. But it was just such a strong memory for me. So that's how the song came about. But it's funny, I'm getting a lot of people that are listening to the song telling, giving me feedback saying, oh, this is what I was doing in 1993. So it's been a really cool exercise, to be honest with you.
Excellent. Well, I was working in radio in Western Australia in a remote place out there. So it was, and I just remember it was always hot. It was, or very hot, or it was humid.
Sure.
Yeah, there was three terms: hot, very hot, or humid. That was it.
Yeah, it pretty much is out that way, isn't it?
It is. But one of the things I always enjoyed was the sunsets at night. Just the colours I've just never seen anywhere else, and I think it's
magic.
It's just that up that part of the world in northern WA. It was just a beautiful spot, and I'm thankful for the time. Learned a lot from it, and it certainly was a great experience. But I'm thinking now back to when I was a kid, and we didn't have a willow tree. I don't know what sort of tree it was, but we did have a tree in the backyard that I used to climb and just get up there, and nearly fell out of it a couple of times. But that was part of being a kid too.
That was the part of being a kid, wasn't it? And that's the vibe that I wanted from this song, And even in the music video, I had some really great little actors come in and play the younger versions of me, which was cool. So, and my father, my old man, is in the music video too. So it's quite a special project, this one.
I was going to ask you about that because, that's one of the things I noticed was the old fella, and I was going to ask who is it, and so that's your dad. So
that's my dad. Yeah.
Oh, excellent.
He's the star of the show. I get more comments about him, to be honest.
So in your next video, is he going to demand for a trailer and all that sort of thing for him? And
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. He's already said to me, he's available for other shoots and interviews and bits and pieces. But I think for me, the whole idea of the music video, I shot it with Jay Senior, who I've done 5 music videos with now. I wanted it to be really personal. Obviously, having my old man in there, and the car that I'd learned to drive in is in the music video as well. And it was shot in the local area where I grew up, so on New South Wales South Coast. So it's it's something that I can just kind of carry with me, and it's a really great memory.
And so we should get your dad's name. We shouldn't just keep calling him old man. So
yeah, Peter. His name's Peter. Yeah,
Peter is a legend, and we look forward to seeing him in future Andy videos.
Yeah, exactly. He'll probably put his price up for the next one.
Dads do that. Yeah,
they do. Yeah.
And I'm looking at the clip right now, and the car, the old Corolla. And the memories it brings back from me, and I'm sure many of us older folks will relate to it straight away, is the seat covers, the sheepskin wool seat covers.
Yeah, I know, right? They're a classic. My dad loves those things. I think he does say that it keeps you warm in winter and cool in summer, but I'm not too sure about that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think that's the theory you like to work with, but it doesn't always work out that way. And
but he loves that car. It's his old girl. He just because my brother learned to drive in it and I learned to drive in it, so I think he just kept it for that reason, for the nostalgic of it all.
And it's still going now.
It's still going. Yeah, my cousin's, who's a mechanic, just spent a whole bunch of time and effort in putting a new motor and just looking after it. And it's garaged, and let me tell you, it probably goes better than my new Subaru outside.
Well, yeah, and it's still going, and it's bringing back memories from some of the cars that I drove years ago, and yeah,
How's that? Yeah.
There would have been no electric windows, and if you wanted air conditioning, just roll a window down.
That's right, and if it got stuck, you'd have to keep it down during the rain, wouldn't you?
Yep. Oh, yes.
Too funny.
Yes, all the dramas that we used to go through, the kids these days, they just go, what?
I know, right? Exactly. And we, looking back on myself growing up in the 90s and early 2000s, even that wasn't hard for us at all, but the kids now would probably be a lot harder. Would have been a lot harder for us if they were growing up then. But if you look back, to my grandparents and going through the war and all that kind of stuff, we had no troubles whatsoever, to be honest with you.
I'm just looking at the scene. I've just paused it. It's of the radio in the car. I don't think kids would even know what that is. They would. Yeah, it would an old
analog analog AM radio.
Yeah, that used to be fought over. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, those memories of road trips in the cars. Oh, yeah, lots of fun. Lots of fun.
Exactly.
So that's the song's all about that. So I just want to test your 1993 knowledge too, if I can.
Oh, mate, let's do it. The pressure's on. The pressure is on.
These will be real easy ones. Who was our Prime Minister?
Jeez. I'm going to say Paul Keating.
Spot on. Yep.
Yeah. I got one
Keating. Right. Yeah. Well, you're from New South Wales, so who was the Premier of New South Wales?
Oh, mate. I absolutely have no idea.
John Fay. Yeah, John Fay was the Premier. And
John Fay. I would have never got that in a million years.
And in Victoria, it was Jeff Kennett, and in South Australia, it was Lynn Arnold, who recently had a birthday, just throwing that in there.
You're right. There you go.
Just going on sport, who won the AFL Grand Final?
The AFL Grand Final 1993, oh, mate, I reckon it could have been Geelong?
No.
Essendon?
Essendon, correct. Who did they defeat?
Oh, mate, that's a tough one. Was it Geelong?
No, Carlton.
No,
by
Carlton, okay.
By 44 points.
There you go. There you go. Is that the last time they won?
Could be. No. Well, Essendon won in 2000, so but there you go.
There you go.
And Shane Warne did something very spectacular in 1993. What was that?
Oh, mate.
This is really testing you.
He released his perfume. I don't know. I'm stumped on that one as well.
It was the ball of the century. It was his first delivery in the Ashes match, and he completely bowled Mike Gadding. And
there you go.
Yeah, one of those things. Yeah.
It's funny because, Shane Warne, obviously being a legendary cricketer, it's kind of been overshone in the last couple of years, hasn't he, with all the controversy and bits and pieces he's been doing. But, yeah, he's still a great cricketer from back then, yeah.
Yeah, that's our warning. Do you know, what were the biggest hits from the year? Any idea?
Well, biggest hits from 1993, I'm going to say, I reckon, maybe was Janet Jackson around then? Meatloaf, who just passed away. I reckon Meatloaf might have been around that time.
Yep, his song, I'd Do Anything for Love, but I Won't Do That. That was one of the big chart toppers from the year, along with Whitney Houston.
There you go. Yeah, Whitney would have been pretty big back then too, for sure. I remember, there was some great music back then, and I'm heavily influenced, I guess, by a lot of 90s stuff, so I probably should have got that one.
And our biggest albums from the year, obviously the Bodyguard soundtrack with Whitney. And there was two others, two blokes, an Englishman and a Canadian.
I reckon, do you remember that band UB40? I reckon they might have been around then.
Yeah, but they didn't have one of the number one albums in the land.
Oh, you didn't? No?
No.
Okay.
It was Eric Clapton with Unplugged, but the biggest one, the one that was number one for 12 weeks, was the best of Bryan Adams, So Far, So Good.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
How about that?
That doesn't seem like that long ago, does it?
No, that's what I thought when I looked at it. I had to look at it twice, and then I thought, and I remember it was on top of the charts for ages, because the station I was at, we were actually giving away copies of the CD back then, because that's what you did. And, and I realised, and I looked, and it was number one for 12 weeks. So there you go.
Yeah, right. Well, I was 10 years old, and I remember Bryan Adams quite vividly, and a lot of his music getting played around the house for sure.
And that is why.
And Meatloaf, my mum loved him. Yes.
Yeah. So what other music from that era has influenced you and helped shape you as the artist you are today?
Yeah, I mean, I listened to a lot of 90s kind of grunge bands, like closer, to the end of the 90s. Matchbox 20, they were heavily influenced. I was heavily influenced by them. Nirvana, who my brother used to play all the time, and I kind of fell in love with them. The Lemonheads, that was another band, as well as, songwriters like Alanis Morissette, who was kind of like, a visionary of her time, I guess back in the 90s, writing, political songs and, standing up for female rights and all that kind of stuff, which is really kind of interesting stuff. Counting Crows as well. I used to listen to a lot of Counting Crows. Mr. Jones, that album was one of my favorite albums.
Yep.
And Alan Jackson, who is a huge influence on my career. I used to listen to a lot of his music, and I still do. He's got so many great songs out, and he was pretty big back there in the 90s, for sure.
Yeah, one of my favourite songs of his, Chattahoochee, and every time I listen to it, I just want to dip my feet in water and sit on the bank and just chill out. It just, he manages to capture that, and he's still doing it today. So
he is still doing it today. Yeah, that's definitely a great song. One of mine is the Midnight in Montgomery. I'm not sure if you've heard of that. Yep. It's a really kind of haunting song, and I love that song. It's a great song.
Well, you're writing some great songs, and you've got an album, I understand, that's coming out. So how far away, Andy, before it drops? Yeah, so this album, it's been a huge work in progress. It's taken a lot of time to get it to this point, but we had to push it back because of a lot of things that are happening in the world. So we're looking at mid-year for the launch. Yep. Hopefully, I've got two or three singles coming out before them, which is great. But it'll be available in all retailers this month, so I've got a distributing deal for this album. So excellent. Anyone, anywhere in the country can pick it up from Derby Hi-Fi or Sanity Music, which is really exciting for me as well. So, yeah. Well, at the moment, if we want to check out some of your previous work and some other things, we can go to your website, andypenkow.com, click on the shop section. If we click on the tour section, we can find out where you're going to be performing. You got some dates coming up soon as well? I do, yeah. I've got a few things coming up. A lot of smaller gigs at the moment, obviously, because we can't really do the bigger shows. Yeah. But Tamworth, which has been postponed until April, I should have a handful of shows up there. I've got a show next week in Sydney here, if anyone's in Sydney or coming to Sydney, at the Vanguard with a few other artists. And I'll be at Glen Innes on the 19th of this month. And then I'm doing a few shows towards the later of the year with Alan Caswell. Yeah. And I've got a show with Lynchburg as well here in Sydney, which will be a fantastic show. I'm really looking forward to that because, Alan, who I absolutely adore, I think he's just one of the best songwriters this country has seen, especially the country music industry. So, yeah. Well, that's what I was going to ask you because I was going to come back to 1993 because, and I was going to ask you about the experience of Alan helping you out with the song and some others on your album. So what was that experience like and why specifically did you want Alan to help you? Yeah, I think, Alan is such an interesting storyteller. I just find him just so authentic with what he does. He's just, there's no BS with Alan. It's just straight down the line. And I remember my mum, it was probably a little bit before I was born, but she, used to talk about Prisoner and watch that. And he wrote the theme song to that. Yep. So, he's done some fantastic stuff. And I was just really happy that he said yes, that he'd come and write some stuff with me. I already had the idea for this song, 1993, and he came in and he just waved his magic wand, and he really helped me with developing the sound, and all the experience that he's had in his career, is something that I aspire for too. And I have to say we've got another song on the album that he helped me write as well. It's called Love, Lies and Dirty Dishes, and that's the title track of the album. So, yeah, it's a cool track. Love, Lives and Dirty Dishes. Oh, yeah, okay. Working his magic on that song, I'm very intrigued, very intrigued. What was the big takeaway lesson you learnt from with your time with Alan? Yeah, I think Alan is just so
good. Like it's so quick as well. I really learned how to kind of like hone into what you were focusing on and the storyline, instead of kind of going off in different avenues. You know, he's like, you just focus on what the vision of the song is. And that really, you know, that's something I'm going to take with me, definitely with moving into more songwriting as I get, you know, develop my style and my career for sure.
Sometimes as the songwriter and the artist, you get in the way of the song, and someone like Alan, they tell you, get out of the way, let it evolve. So I get that.
Oh, it's so true, you know, and especially being a creative person, and a lot of creative people would say this, you know, your mind's going 1,000 kilometers an hour. So you've got all these things like going through your head. So being able to siphon through it all and just focus on the one thing is definitely something that gives, it's really important as a songwriter for sure. And Alan is great at doing that.
Is there someone else on a bucket list person that you would love to, you know, work on a song together with? Yeah,
I've got a few. You know, I guess here in Australia, for me, I'd love to do something with Casey Chambers. I think that'd be really cool. I think Case is a fantastic songwriter, really interesting style of writing. You know, I've worked with Shane in the past on a few projects, so I'd love to write with Casey. But there's another artist who I absolutely love, and he's an Americana singer-songwriter, and his name's Ryan Adams, not Brian.
Yeah, I know the guy. Yeah.
Ryan Adams. He's a great songwriter. You know, I find him. He's very emotional with his writing. It's very similar to the style that I write. And I think, you know, having to sit down with him would be fantastic. But, you know, I think the ultimate person to write with, but he's not around anymore, obviously, would be one of my biggest idols, and that's Elvis Presley. I think he'd be an amazing person, would have been an amazing person to write a song with.
Yes, the King. Yes, Elvis.
King. He's like, you know, I don't think any of us would be doing what we're doing as musicians if it wasn't for his influence on popular culture and music, for sure.
Absolutely. Totally agree. Let's hope you can have a kind of influence for some other people that will follow in your footsteps as well.
Exactly, you know, and that's what it's about for me. It's at the end of the day, the music industry it's so tough, it's so hard to work in, as a lot of people would know. But I think if you lose sight of why you started, then it all kind of gets a bit blurry. But for me, it's all about the music, and it's about the creation, and it's about just building something that I'm going to be proud of, and something that I can leave long after I'm gone, like someone like Elvis did, you know. Maybe not to that level, but yeah.
I think for your dad, I think one of the things that he'll be very proud of you and what you're doing and all that. So I can see that, and for him to know that what you're doing and others are loving it, I think he'd be pretty chuffed about that. And I think that might actually get you. You might find that car's coming to you in the wheel, mate. I think it might just.
You never know, exactly. I think it could be, but I think, you know, I think my parents are definitely really proud of what I've achieved, because, you know, as an independent artist, I've had to navigate my own way through the industry and just build my own career and get it to the point that it's at now. And obviously, you know, I've got a team that I work with now, but, you know, when you're starting out in the industry, it's hard because people, you know, they don't trust you because they don't know your music. They don't know, you know, like what your sound is. You don't have a profile. So you've got to build that, and you've got to work hard for it. And I'm in the process of doing that. So, yeah.
Keep doing it. Don't stop, mate. Don't stop.
Thanks. Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Well, Andy, it is an absolute pleasure chatting to you once again. I'm dare say we're going to be chatting when we get closer to the album as well, and hopefully you can get over this way and we can get you in our studio, because I'd love to sit down and have a good chat in the studio with you and hear you play live for us. I think that would be an amazing experience. So you're welcome to do that anytime to our Flow studios. But before that, thank you so much for spending time with us. Good luck with everything. And the gig you got coming up at the Vanguard, I see you got Blake Dantier, Cora Norton and Lucy Tiger. Know them all. Say g'day for us. They're favourites here at Flow, just like you. So please pass on our regards to them. And if you could please introduce your song for all our Flow listeners.
First of all, I want to say thank you so much for all the support, and definitely catch up with you when the album's out. But this is Andy Penkow, and you guys are listening to my new single, 1993.
Take me back to 1993, to that old willow tree. Feels like I've got lost in it all again. My heart's so heavy, my mind's in a spin. I often wonder Will I ever be enough? Do the dreams still matter when the times get tough? I'm back, chasing it all again. Caught up in the same high, got lost in the bright lights. Take me back to 1993, making plans under that old willow tree. The roots are strong for a country boy like me. Take me back to 1993. I remember when we lived for Friday nights, me and the boys, with our names up in lights. Brothers and nuns, we were gonna make it big, but they made their choices for their wives and their kids. Here's me, chasing it all again, believing in the same high, still caught in the bright lights. Take me back to 1993, making plans under that old willow tree. The roots are strong for a country boy like me. Take me back to 1993. Take me back to 1993, making plans under that old willow tree. The roots are strong for a country boy like me. Take me back to 1993. The roots are strong for a country boy like me.